Welcome to Awaken with Marissa M. Gabrielle Union has come out to elaborate on comments that she made about her financial role in the Wade household after she recently said that she splits the bills with her husband 50-50. May 8th Bloomberg interview, she stated that she and Wade had agreed as a couple to split everything 50-50, adding that if she must be responsible for everyone, that arrangement will have to do for now, or else somebody ain't gonna eat. Since then, Union has come out to double down on her comments, while also making some clarifications. On social media, family therapist Beverly Andre asked her followers, "Are you team 50-50? As for me, I'm team whatever makes sense for the household and is mutually agreed upon." Union then weighed in by posting in the comments, "Every household is different, and doing what's best for you and yours is the best. What some don't understand is that I'm 100% responsible for three other households, and D has even more, aka Dwayne Wade. The majority of those households are elderly people and minors." She added, "We both come from families that step up to help care for children or elderly relatives. So being able to be with someone who meets me halfway and lightens my load gives me peace and support. He's offered to cover my trust, but that's not my ministry nor bring me peace. All that to say, I love how we recognize that there are billions of ways to exist, and you just got to find what's right for you." According to multiple news sources, Dwayne Wade has a net worth of $170 million, and Gabrielle Union has a net worth of $45 million. Now I'm going to ask Leah, do you agree with Gabrielle Union's decision to pay half of her household bills? And
So I, even though it's a little odd to me, um, it's only odd to me because of her husband's wealth that she goes 50-50 with him, but I believe that's her choice. And I don't really see anything wrong with it. Honestly, I don't. So yeah, that's my opinion. I don't see anything wrong with it. I know it seems a little odd to most of us because they are so wealthy, but I think it's her choice if she decides that she would like to just pay half the bills.
okay, and would you split the bills with your partner or spouse if they had a higher net worth than you?
I got to think about this. I got to think about this. Um, okay, that's a tough one because I would want to pay for something. I don't know if 50% would be fair. I think it should go by how much I make. So maybe I think it would be fair for me, for example, to pay maybe 25%, for example. I don't know. I think it's fair. It would be fair for me to pay something, but I do believe the person who makes more should pay more. Okay. So let's say let's say it was an 80-20 split. Let's say my partner makes 80%. Let's say they make way more money than me. Let's say they would be willing to maybe pay 80%. I'd pay 20% if I make way less. So I just think whoever makes more, they should maybe pay more because it just seems a little bit more fair. I feel like 50-50 is a little brutal on the person who doesn't make as much, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Maleah. And let me see. I'm going to ask Josip. Josip, do you agree with Gabrielle Union's decision to pay half of her household bills?
Yeah, I don't disagree with it. It's none of my business on some level, but being that they're public figures and I know about this, or supposedly this is their arrangement, seems fine by me if that works for them, trying to be fair. There was that other question of if how would I feel if the person I was co-parenting with was a higher net worth. that depends. I mean, ideally, I'd want to be able to.
Chakra Healing Center, offering spiritual cleansings. Virtual sessions available.
Go 50-50. But let's suppose, and this isn't my situation at all, it's a theoretical, but let's say that other person was, in just a whole different world of wealth. And there was no, most people, including myself, are not going to achieve that world. And then let's say the expectation was something like, my 50% would be, I don't know, $50,000. Pick a number, that's way out of my ability. Well, then I wouldn't be able to do that, no matter how much I tried. And one could argue, well, that's your responsibility as, a divorced father, let's say. I think as Miss Maleah was saying, you try to contribute as much as you can that's appropriate, and how you define appropriate is obviously going to vary family to family.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. And Pauline, do you agree with Gabrielle Union's decision to pay half of her household bills?
Okay, so honestly, I feel like I have a few things to say about this. I will say that. Now, for me, first, I'll say this. I did not watch the interview. I didn't. I saw this trending on TikTok, right? And I was just like, what's going on with Gabrielle Union? Like, what's happening? And of course, like, I just kind of read about like the main things that were said and like that she focused on. And I guess, yeah, I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind doing the whole 50-50 thing, I think. And the reason why I say I think is because what about the domestic part, right? Like, I mean, I feel like, okay, like, yes, if we're splitting bills and stuff like that, who's mostly going to be the person that's going to, clean, take care of like any kids, cook or something like that. Now, I grew up in a household where my father, he's very traditional. My father, he's 82 years old. So my dad was born in 1941. And he's very like traditional. Like, and when I say he's traditional, what I mean is my dad, since I was growing up, I always saw this in my household. I always saw my dad being the person who worked, who paid bills. My mom was always the one who cooked, who cleaned, who was there for me and my siblings when we were home, from school and stuff like that. So that's just what I saw. Now, just because I saw that, I will say it didn't, for me, it didn't have like this effect on me where I felt like, okay, well, I have to be in a relationship where the man has to pay all the bills and then I do the domestic work. I do agree that I think that, you should do whatever works for your relationship, because I think that, every relationship is different, right? Like, there's going to be some relationships where maybe the guy can't work or something. Maybe he has like a disability and he can't work or something. Or maybe the woman, maybe she can't work for whatever reason. And maybe the guy has to pay, more of the bills or, handle that kind of aspect. Wonder kind of how, if they go 50-50 financially, are they also going 50-50 domestically? So I guess that's my little spiel, so I'll keep it there.
Thank you, Pauline. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're like, if we're going to do 50-50, what else are we doing 50-50 with, right? So thank you, everyone, for your commentary. We're going to move on to the next topic. TikTok has filed a federal lawsuit against Montana after the state passed a law last week intended to ban the app from being downloaded within its borders. The widely expected lawsuit argues that banning a hugely popular social media app amounts to an illegal suppression of free speech, tantamount to censorship. The Montana law unlawfully abridges one of the core freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment, the suit claims. Lawyers
If you really want to improve your credit and you need some cash, I would recommend getting the Capital One Platinum card. It's a secured card, so you don't have to put any money down. You fill out your info, they send the card to you. You have a $300 credit limit. The APR is really high, so you have to make sure you pay. You make sure you stay on top of your payments, pay on time. My credit score actually has increased using this card. I'm leaving a link in the description.
for Chinese-owned TikTok also argue that the national security threat raised by officials in Montana is not something that state officials can attempt to regulate, since foreign affairs and national security matters are federal issues. The suit seeks to have the Montana law, which has not gone into effect yet, overturned. I think TikTok has a legal right to sue Montana over this ban.
So, and I'm sorry, I kind of got lost in the story. So why are they suing them again? Because of the
TikTok is suing Montana because they're saying that Montana pretty much the article was saying that TikTok is saying that Montana is violating our First Amendment rights, which is freedom of speech. So Montana making a law saying that TikTok is banned is pretty much it's affecting or prohibiting our freedom of speech. That's pretty much what they're pretty much suing for.
Okay.
Because
Do I think that they should sue Montana?
Yeah, like, do you think they have a legal right to sue Montana over this ban?
It's interesting. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because it is, they're violating people's freedom of speech. So I think it's pretty valid. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask Maleah, I'm gonna ask you next. Do you agree with the state of Montana banning TikTok downloads in their state?
Do I agree with Montana?
Yes. Do you agree with Montana banning TikTok downloads in their state?
So unfortunately, this is going to make some people angry, but I do agree. I'm sorry. I've done a lot of research on TikTok, about TikTok. A lot of research has a lot of data, and a lot of research has been done about them. And quite frankly, I believe that TikTok is using their app to spy on Americans. I do believe TikTok has nefarious reasons for wanting to have American citizens be on their app. There are, I mean, if I've looked into a lot of, I don't even like some of the information has just come across my lap. Some of the information I haven't even looked for, but I mean, quite frankly, even in New York City, I mean, this is with all due respect. The Chinese have been known to spy on Americans, and I mean the Chinese government. I'm not saying all Chinese people. I'm just saying the Chinese government has been known to send their citizens over to America to spy on us. Even recently in New York City, anyone can look this up. The Chinese government actually had Chinese police stations. The Chinese police stations were there to spy on and harass Chinese citizens who said negative things about the Chinese government. This is right in New York City. There was a big bust. If you type in, or if you Google New York City Chinese spy police stations, you're going to see what I'm talking about. As for TikTok, I am glad that Montana is trying to ban the app because, quite frankly, I always found it creepy that even when it comes to so TikTok in China, they show the videos that go viral in China are videos of kids studying, of kids getting good grades in school, studying hacks, positive videos. The TikTok videos that go viral in the West are stupid videos. Like some of them are helpful. Don't get me wrong. I watch TikTok videos on YouTube. That's how I know that some of the content is actually good. But some of the other stuff, I mean, you see people just doing some really crazy things and controversial things on there. So, and things that are really like, look at the Kia boys and the Kia and Hyundai thefts that have been going up because kids are copying other kids on TikTok, and those videos are getting pushed on TikTok. So, quite frankly, I just, my reasons for, bottom line, keeping it simple, I am for the ban. I don't think that America should allow an app that is connected with the Chinese government, who is known to spy on Americans and other countries, to just be freely having access to American citizens' data. And I really do agree with the ban. That's the answer that I have.
Do you think that TikTok has a legal right to sue Montana over this ban?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody's allowed to sue anybody, right? So they have the right to sue. It doesn't mean they're going to win, but they do have the right to sue. I do believe TikTok has the right to sue Montana or any other state.
Okay, thank you so much, Maleah. Okay, and the next person I'm going to ask is Yosip. Yosip, do you agree with the state of Montana banning TikTok downloads in their state?
So no, there's a lot of interconnected sort of issues with this. I'll try to get to them as quickly as possible, or just speak for a minute or two, and let Paul give time for Ms. Pauline. No, I think like this is what the state of Montana and the leaders, the politicians, are spending time on. Like there aren't other more pressing issues. How are you going to enforce that? I mean, there's probably some technological way where Big Brother can take it off people's phones or something, but aren't we supposed to try to resist that kind of intrusion whenever possible? Like this country, this land, at least as it's currently configured, on the one hand, it was absolutely stolen, et cetera, et cetera. On the other hand, it's at its best, it's supposed to be about freedom, about live and let live, regardless of your politics, your race, your gender, your et cetera, et cetera. So no, I don't, and I think it's frankly a little absurd. Like I imagine there's way more challenging and important to problems to be working on in Montana. I've never been there. I'd like to go someday. Does TikTok have the right to sue? Of course it does. Like once again, at its best, this is a country with the rule of law, as corrupt as it is. Nevertheless, the concept of the rule of law is a relatively new human, innovation. Like it matters. Like that's in many countries in the world, which we interact with every day. You can't sue the government. Like that'll get you and your family in trouble. You don't want that kind of attention. Now, all that being said, what Miss Maleah was saying, those concerns, it's my understanding that a lot of those concerns are real. So I'll just share a little bit, not to tell you guys my business, but because it's relative to this. So I'm 47 years old. I've never really been on social media. I was just doing other stuff, trying to make a life when Facebook and all that started coming out. And then I wasn't interested, And over the years, like people are like, get on Facebook, this, that, Twitter. And I, it makes my life it's white people problems, makes my life a little like harder not to be on that stuff. But I have an addictive personality. I'm already addicted to my phone, So, and yeah, I got no beef with China, even the Chinese government or Chinese people, but I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born here, even though I've lived in America all my life. I'm a citizen, but my parents and older cousins and stuff, like ran away from the horrors of communism, you know? So China is absolutely harvesting all of that data. And all this stuff about them saying, oh, you know, we'll let you see it, it'll be American servers. Like if you ask anyone in the, you know, in the spying professional world, that kind of stuff, like they'll tell, that's like the Chinese government is, I don't know that any government can be trusted, including ours. But that being said, the Chinese government, you know, I personally, you know, wouldn't want to be dealing with them. So I understand that national security threat. And then furthermore, my attention span's just gotten worse with the years anyway. I'm getting older, this and that. I don't need no 1 minute of what, like 1 minute of what, you know, maybe like hitting a, you know, a home run, you know, LeBron, Duncan, something. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Yosef. Thank you so much. So we're going to move on to the next topic. Recently, legendary television host and lifestyle guru, 81-year-old Martha Stewart, made history as she became the oldest woman to ever pose on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I've gotten a few inquiries, just a couple, she told Entertainment Tonight. Teasingly, she didn't name names who slid into her DMs. And that's probably because entering into a new romance isn't one of her priorities now. As she noted, that she's still working hard. When asked by Variety if accusations of surgery get to her, she was quick to dismiss it. I've had no plastic surgery whatsoever. I have very healthy, good hair. I drink green juice every day. I take my vitamins. I eat very healthy. I have very good skin doctors. I'm very careful in the sun. I wear hats and I wear sunblock every single day. I think the world has embraced the fact that you can be whoever you are whenever you want to be, she said. That's really what I think is helping. I think it's helping people. You put on a bathing suit and you feel good about it. People are trying a little harder to keep their good health, good looks, good skin, and good hair. Hitting back at anyone suggesting her photos have been overly edited, they're very good. There are only a few naysayers saying the pictures are overly retouched, but they're not. They are incredibly accurate pictures. So my question to Pauline, would you feel comfortable posing in a swimsuit at the age of 81?
You know what? Honestly, I heard about that as well. And I honestly, listen, I applaud her because she's so well known, right? Like this is somebody who like everybody knows. Didn't she have like a show with Snoop Dogg or something like that a few years ago or something?
She did,
right?
yeah.
Yes. And so I'm just like, wow, like the fact that she, you know, could do that and not like, or maybe she did fear like, you know, criticism. Who knows what people really feel, but I just was like, wow, like, you know, I did see the picture. I think I saw it. And I think, of course, I think you know what, honestly, I feel like at her age, people would honestly assume that she would not look like what she looked like on the cover of that magazine. I think people probably would have thought that she would have been filled with like wrinkles, like had wrinkly legs and all that stuff. But I mean, she said that she had great skin doctors. So, I mean, I'm assuming, of course, maybe I don't know, you never know what they're recommending for her to take and stuff like that. And she says that she eats healthy and stuff. So, you know, it helps, you know, but I think, you know what, it's interesting because we do live in this time now where, you know, especially because of social media and because, you know, there's this, you know, big focus on your image and stuff and how you present yourself. I feel like a lot of people, you know, not just like quote unquote Instagram models, but just people, even regular everyday people, you know, they're getting plastic surgery. You know, people are getting like the butt lifts and the, you know, the breast augmentations and, you know, just different surgeries to look a certain way, you know. So I wouldn't, you know, I'm not shocked that people question, you know, whether she had plastic surgery or not. You know, but just, I mean, other than that, like, I mean, I feel like for me, I know you asked about like me and stuff like that, you know, I personally, I don't think I would feel comfortable enough to I just don't think so. Even if honestly, even if like like I felt, just good in my body and everything like that. I don't know. I just don't think I would feel comfortable.
Maleah, would you feel comfortable posing in a swimsuit at 81?
Actually, I think I would. If I was fit and I looked good, then I would be comfortable doing it. Yeah, I would.
Okay, awesome. And the last person I'm going to ask is Yosip. Yosip, would you feel comfortable wearing, let's see, like a Speedo at 81 or posing in a picture in a Speedo at 81?
If necessary, I would want to be, if that inspired someone or something. At the same time, realistically, I don't think I would be comfortable. I don't think that, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. I mean, but if her being on the cover is what made her feel good and gave her a bump and getting through life day by day, being 81 years old. I mean, she looks fantastic. Like when I was growing up, 81-year-olds look different,
Would you feel comfortable posing in a swimsuit at 81?
Yes, I would. If I looked as good as her or even better and had the confidence like she did, I don't see anything wrong with it. Why not? I think body shaming and even age shaming are things of the past as, we move on each generation. So by the time we're 81, I'm sure it will be widely accepted. Like nobody's going to be like, oh, wow, she's doing that. Because we're all going to have tattoos on our bodies, We're going to be completely different a different generation of elders, at that time, by the time we get to that age. So I don't see anything wrong with it at all. And I'm, like Pauline said, I applaud her for just having the confidence and to even do so, because a lot of women probably wouldn't do that. So,
okay, sounds good. Okay,
yeah.
I love that. That's an interesting perspective because that is a good question. It's kind of like, what is the elderly generation going to be like in 30, 40 years? That's a good point. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a good point. And the BBLs and everything. Exactly.
Yeah, very
the BBL
different.
seniors.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're going to move on to the next topic. A school shooter serving a life sentence without parole for killing a first grader on a South Carolina playground when he was 14 is asking a judge to lessen his sentence so that he can eventually get out of prison. Jesse Osborne's lawyer asked Judge Lawton McIntosh on Monday to reconsider his sentence so that Osborne, now 21, could have some hope of freedom in his 50s or 60s. Attorney Frank Epps said that the judge didn't fully consider a psychologist's report that Osborne lashed out because of abuse and can be rehabilitated. Osborne himself asked for a chance at life outside of a prison cell, apologizing to the family of a 6-year-old boy named Jacob Hill, who he unfortunately did kill. And he also apologized to everyone at the school that was there on the day of the incident. I would just like to say sorry to every single one of them because my evil actions hurt their lives, Osborne said. I'm just going to try to better myself in the Department of Corrections the rest of my life. Townsville, South Carolina teachers and parents don't want to see Jesse Osborne out of prison. But the teacher whose class was having recess, the parent of a wounded child, the father of the student celebrating his birthday, and the school principal all said at a Monday's hearing at the Anderson County Courthouse that they don't want to ever see Osborne out of prison. Principal Denise Fredericks recognized Osborne as he paced outside of Townsville Elementary School with a backpack full of ammunition for 12 minutes after his gun jammed before police arrived to arrest him. Osborne had been a student there for 7 years. I do wish Jesse a life where he can wake up, breathe, eat, work, be productive, but not outside the walls of a prison, Frederick said. In my opinion, his current sentence is still so much more merciful than the sentence he gave to Jacob and our school family. Joseph, in your opinion, should the judge reconsider Jesse's sentence? So, in other words, should the judge consider turning his life sentence into like maybe 50 or 60 years, etc.? Like, what's your opinion on that?
That's such a complex situation. I mean, yeah, ideally, I think the answer would be yes. I think at least, my understanding of if I, what would Jesus do? If I asked Jesus, like, I think it would lean on the side of hope and rehabilitation and even the worst situation. But if you kind of do that thought experiment logically, you'll get to, well, should Hitler, be rehabilitated? How about the devil himself? Where do you draw the line? I think realistically, as I'm not a legal expert by any means, I don't know how much, as a society we've grappled with this. There's some famous quote, I don't remember by who, and it goes to the effect of you could tell a lot about a society by how they treat their most disenfranchised, and prisoners, I think by definition, are that, and the Department of Corrections. I mean, come on, what are we correcting here? At the same time, maybe the family should have final say. To be on that side of it, you can feel murderous rage and fear, and so there's maybe some solace to this family that at least he's behind bars. Now he was a child, like, ideally there's a person on the internet called Michael Francis, who apparently was one of the first and few people to get out of the Italian mob in the early 90s. And he's a born again Christian, and he apparently he's changed his ways, but no, I don't think the judge should anytime soon be letting this guy out.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Joseph. Maleah, should the judge reconsider Jesse's sentence?
Should the judge reconsider his sentence? That's tough. I agree with Joseph. I would want to hear what the family has to say about it. I would want to hear what the child's family recommends. I think the family, the student, the young little student's family should have a say in that murderer's future. That's my answer. I agree with Joseph. Because in my opinion, he should never get out again. Like they said in the article, apparently if that gun didn't jam, there would have been more little lives that were lost and big lives that were lost. So I think it should be up to the family to decide. But if the family opted out of deciding, I believe he should spend the rest of his life in prison. And I gotta say, I'm someone who's for I am for second chances. I need mercy. I've been given mercy when I've messed up and when people had no reason to help me, but they did. But I didn't kill anybody. He did. So I believe he should spend the rest of his life in prison. I understand he was a minor. I know what it's like to be angry. I know what it's like to be angry and to be upset and to feel like no one cares. I know what it's like to want other people to hurt because I'm hurting, but I gotta admit, killing kids was never something I would consider. I'm just gonna put it that way. they are innocent. They don't deserve that. No one deserves that, but I just can't fathom killing a child. I don't want to, no one should be murdered, but I'm just saying a child, even on my angriest day, I can't imagine killing a child. But yeah, so to answer your question, I think the child's family, the child who he murdered, that child's family should decide his fate. That's my opinion. But if they opted out of deciding, because for some people who are religious, they don't want to, they say that's in God's hands. So I believe that this decision should stand, you know? Yeah, he took away a life, so he should be, it actually, he took away his dad's life. I almost forgot about that too. So my opinion, he needs to stay in prison, in my opinion, but either stay in prison or let the family decide his fate. That's fine.
Thank you, Maleah. Daisha, should the judge reconsider Jesse's sentence?
Like everyone else has seen, it's so tough. I feel like I'm on the fence because at first I was like, yeah, I think the judge should reconsider it, just given the fact that he was only 14 and he wasn't, I don't think, had a mature mindset and whatever else was going on at home that could have caused it. Who knows, by the time he's 50, 60 years old, he may, a prison may have changed him, So spending his whole adulthood in prison, I don't know, I just don't think it's right. But then I'm also kind of conflicted because if he does get out, and then what if he does commit these same heinous crimes? It's like, it's going to be like, everybody's going to be like, well, see, should have just left him in prison. So, I think that what if he were to get out, if they did reconsider it and then they just put him on some type of like house arrest. Like, I don't know.
Actually in the article, that's what his defense team was suggesting, that he spends like 30 years in prison and then he's like on GPS tether for like 10 years or something crazy like that. So they were actually offering to have him on GPS like monitoring for like at least 10 years. So yeah, that is one of the options that the defense was giving. Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of like a kind of fair compromise. Like, it's like he gets to get out, out of the walls of prison. He shouldn't have to, spend the rest of his life in prison. And then be on house arrest, controlled, where, constantly monitored so that he doesn't commit any crimes like he did. I don't know. I think that's fair. That's what I think, personally. So,
thank you, Daisha. And Pauline, should the judge reconsider Jesse's sentence?
I don't know. This might be a little harsh. I don't know, but I don't think so. I mean, honestly, if you want to change, you could change in prison. If you want to, you go to a rehabilitation center, you could do that in prison, because I feel like you took somebody's life, and I get it, right? He's not an adult, but there's a difference between being 4 and 14. When I was 14, I knew enough to not kill someone. Like, I feel like, and don't get me wrong, like, I would say that I came from a pretty, I came from, I guess, like a toxic, household, dysfunctional household as well. I'm assuming not to the level of him, because I could only imagine what kind of hurt and pain you're going through to kill a child. Like, you have to, I don't know, you have to be like so heartless. Even if it's an adult, even if it's an elderly person, you have to really be really heartless to literally kill someone. And then the fact that he would have killed more people if the gun situation didn't happen, like, that's just ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but I just feel like, again, it's like, yes, he wasn't an adult. I think they said your brain isn't fully developed until you're like 25. I could be wrong, but again, like there's a difference between being 4 years old, you know, where you're learning numbers and, you know, colors and everything versus being 14 years old. You know, when you're 14 years old, I think that you should have enough sense to know that you shouldn't kill a person. Like, and then when it's a child, it's just, oh my God, like it's just, they didn't even get a chance to live. They didn't even get a chance to fulfill their purpose, you know? And so for me personally, it's just hard. When you even mentioned the story, in my mind, I just was like, yeah, he should stay in jail. I mean, and to me personally, at least he still gets to live. Even if he stays in jail, he still gets to live. You took a life that will never, ever be rebirthed again, you know? So I just feel like for me personally, like, you could stay in jail, you know, you can make your changes. I'm not saying that, you know, he can't make his changes and all that stuff. You can make your changes, make them damn changes behind bars. You know, you can take that up with God, you can pray and all that stuff. I understand people, you know, they pray and, you know, they have this, you know, come into Jesus moment, and you can have all that. But I personally think it would be unfair for this life that will no longer be able to be alive to just, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's like for him, it's almost as if like he's getting, and oh my God, it's like, I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't get second chances. I do believe that people should get second chances, but I feel like he should still be in jail. That's it.
Thank you, Pauline. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving your opinions. And again, I know that was a really intense story. So we're going to actually discuss one more topic, and then I'm going to let everyone go. But thank you again, because that was like triggering. Even reading it again, that was like kind of triggering, not going to lie. Okay, this is the last topic, and it's a little less intense. That's the good part. So I want to get the intense thing out of the way. Okay, here we go. A breast cancer survivor who was wrongfully fired from her job has won in a King County court. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019, said Linda O'Brien. 2 months later, O'Brien would find out it was stage 4 breast cancer. Her oncologist said that she could continue to work full time as a financial coordinator for 2 doctors who own Orthodontic Excellence and other clinics across Western Washington. I didn't have to do chemo. I didn't have to have surgery or radiation. I took a couple of pills and we starved off the cancer, O'Brien said. O'Brien continued to work full time while undergoing treatment. I did that to try to take the least amount of time off from work to not disrupt the practice, she said. The lawsuit says after her diagnosis, O'Brien's employers became hostile and even told other employees that they were going to fire her. In October 2019, O'Brien had shingles due to a weakened immune system from treatment, and she asked to work from home to protect a pregnant coworker. 2 days later, she was fired via email. I lost a group of people that I thought were supporting me. I am a single woman. I don't have anybody else's income to fall back on. It was a very, very scary place to be, O'Brien said. She also lost her health insurance. O'Brien knew she was wrongfully terminated. I didn't want to go into litigation, but I couldn't sit by and let someone treat me as if I didn't matter, because I do matter. We all matter, O'Brien said. That's where attorney Elizabeth Hanley stepped in and filed a discrimination suit. These laws are critical because most people at some point in their working careers, especially since people are working longer, are going to have some sort of illness, Hanley said. Even if you have a serious illness or something that's affecting you, you have the right to still have a full life, Hanley said. Hanley said if you find yourself facing a serious illness, notify your employer. And if they offer accommodations, work with them. But she said, most importantly, there are state laws that protect workers who file discrimination suits. If an employee raises a case of discrimination, as Linda did, other employers are never allowed to retaliate against them or deny them employment opportunities, Hanley said. This week, a jury sided with O'Brien and awarded her $3.2 million in total damages. For a King County jury to say, look, no, this was a perfectly high functioning employee who was doing her job and according to evidence was doing it well. We're going to tell your employer this is a person of value. That does a lot in terms of restoring someone's belief that they are valuable, said Hanley. The fact that they deliberated for 90 minutes tells you that they knew what was right and what was wrong. They chose to do the right thing, and that was wonderful. I'm grateful for every one of them for doing that for me, O'Brien said. Don't lose faith and stand up for yourself because you're worth it. Everybody's worth it, O'Brien said. Osip, do you think that Linda's employers had a right to terminate her?
Yeah, it's confusing to me. I don't understand why they did terminate her. As a matter of fact, the way that was presented, it seems like they were maybe speaking to other employees about her business that wasn't appropriate in a negative way that wasn't appropriate. So I don't. The jury deliberated. See, I think 90 minutes sounds pretty quick. Maybe it was that obvious. I don't know. In general, I support. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I support both sides of the equation, worker and employer. Ideally, everyone's working together for the benefit of the community, company, whatever it may be.
Okay, yeah. I mean, according to the article, I guess the gist of it is that she said that she pretty much barely called out, and the one time that she called out and actually asked if she could work from home. So it's not even really technically a call out, depending on the kind of company. So I guess to sum it up, it's just seeming like her employers, they pretty much fired her because she asked to work from home. That's pretty much the gist of the article. According to her, you know what I mean? So of course these are just the details in the article. I don't know every single thing, but according to the article, she was saying that she didn't call out very much. And the one time that she actually did, they fired her via email the same day that she asked to work from home. So I guess that's pretty much the gist of kind of what prompted her to, sue and everything. Let me see. I'm gonna ask someone else. Let me see. Maleah, do you think that Linda's employers had a right to terminate her?
Given the information that was provided, so I believe they should have given her I don't understand why they fired her. So if the story really went the way she said it did, then no, they did not. I mean, if she's an at-will employee, they did have the right to fire her, which sucks. I've been fired before. It's not fun. So it's weird. If she's an at-will employee, they legally can fire her. But if that's not the case, then it's sounding like she did have a right to sue them and go after, to actually sue them. And clearly the jury agreed. So was it right for them to fire her? Did they have the right to fire her? They may have had the right to fire her. Was it the right thing to do? It's seeming like no. It's seeming like it wasn't the right thing to do. Especially if what she told us is the whole story, then it wasn't the right thing to do. So yeah, that's my answer. I would say it seems like they may legally have the right. They may have legally had the right to fire her, but that she had the right to sue them and get that money. So it seemed like the wrong thing to do. It seemed a little unfair, but I'm glad she won. So yeah, so keeping it simple, they did have the right to fire her. I just don't think it was morally right.
Okay, thank you. Elaine, do you think that Linda's employers had a right to terminate her?
I mean, I guess I agree really with Maleah. I feel like maybe, legally they could terminate her, right? But again, like what she said, the whole moral like aspect, it's like it just didn't seem right, especially under the conditions of her physical health and everything. It just seemed like, man, like it's like, what if she needed, money for, surgery and stuff like that, and just like further treatment and stuff, and she wasn't prepared to fit the bill because of her termination. So it just didn't seem morally right. But she then turned around and sued, and she got, what, like you said, 3.2 million. Is that what you said?
Yeah, 3.2 million she won. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it just to kind of, to piggyback off of Maleah, like I think, legally, she just, they could sue her, but just like morally, it didn't seem like right, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay, and this is the final question for everyone. I'll call your names and then this will be it. Pauline, have you ever been wrongfully terminated from a job or know someone that was wrongfully terminated from a job?
I think I have been wrongfully terminated from a job, actually. You know, I used to work for like this arcade center, and it was like weird because I had to work during the summer months. And I guess they didn't want me or really anyone who worked for that, that location to be affiliated with some kind of outside opportunities or something like that. I could be more specific, but I won't go too much into detail. But pretty much I let them know beforehand that this is what I was going to do and stuff like that and blah, 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 whatever. And then also other people who worked for the same company also took part in those activities. They didn't get fired, but I got fired. And so that always kind of was like weird to me. Like I didn't understand how I got fired. I gave you a heads up on, what I was, a part of, but I got terminated. But other people who were a part of the same company didn't get terminated, although they took part in the same opportunities outside of the company. It's a lot, but I definitely think that was maybe one example of maybe I was like wrongfully terminated. Other than that, I mean, I know sometimes people get like, just terminated, just, randomly. I don't know if any of you have ever been in that situation or, anyone who's been in that situation, but sometimes people will just like, they'll tell you, yeah, I found out today that my position is no longer open. But I think in cases like that, a lot of times when you apply for these jobs, they do kind of give you a contract that lets you know, like, ahead of time, like, this position may end or this position may be, temporary or, whatever. So I don't know, but that's my spiel.
Okay, thank you, Pauline. Daisha, have you ever been wrongfully terminated from a job, or do you know
Yeah.
someone or do you know someone that was wrongfully terminated from a job?
Well, I don't know anyone who was wrongfully terminated from a job, but I was recently wrongfully terminated from a job, actually back in March. Just to kind of give a brief story, I worked for the company for a year. It was a year and a week, right after my 1 year anniversary for the job. It was a staffing agency. So I basically found people work. And they called me into the office one day and said that they had got a complaint like last week, the week prior, that from someone, they wouldn't say who, that it looked like I wasn't wearing a bra, basically, because my nipples, they looked like they were like, I guess, showing through. So it was all under like assumption, basically, that I got fired because they reported it to HR and they were like, yeah, so based off that, we're gonna have to let you go. And I'm like, what? Off of like hearsay that someone said that it looked like I wasn't wearing a bra. So went through this whole ordeal, but long story short, right now I'm collecting unemployment off of it. So, because I'll be damned if they just let me go off of some, you know, ridiculousness like that. So, yeah, that.
Let me ask a question really, really quick. What kind of environment, like what industry were you working in? Like, was it corporate? Was it retail? I'm just asking for like.
No, well, I guess you can kind of say it's corporate. So the company is, I don't know if you guys are familiar. I don't know what parts of the country you're in, but it's people ready. So they're kind of like all over
People
the
ready.
US.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was a staffing specialist. So all we did, we basically found people jobs. Yeah. So I had my own office and everything. I loved the job. I really did. And they were like, you know, it wasn't anything against my performance. It wasn't like I didn't steal from the company. It was literally about a tire.
And they didn't give you like a warning before this happened?
Yeah, so the lady, my supervisor claimed, my market manager claimed, like, she did give me a warning, but it was back in June of last year about basically a tire, like, you know, dressing professional. And, you know, I did dress pretty professional, but that day, I guess the type of shirt that I had on, it just looked like I wasn't wearing a bra, but I really was. And it's like, how do you prove that to somebody? But they came to me days later or the next week later telling me this, sitting me down in the office saying that they got a complaint from HR from someone. They wouldn't tell me who it was, if it was like a coworker or if it was somebody like a customer of ours. I don't know like who it was. They wouldn't give me any detail.
Wow, that's very strange.
And
It's like it was like
it's very strange.
Yeah,
It's very strange. So
have
she
you
said,
considered maybe taking legal action?
I
Honestly,
thought about it, but it would just been a lot.
it
And
seems
but she,
draining. I know it seems like a draining
yeah,
thing.
and because there was a written warning that first time, but even though that was like back in June, mind you, this is March that I'm getting fired. So I've only gotten this is it's like you get a written warning, and then it's like, oh, you're fired, because she claims it wasn't coachable anymore. That was it. That was the reason. She said it's just not coachable. So we're gonna have to let you go.
Wow, I'm sorry to
Yeah.
hear that. Wow.
Yeah, it sucks. So
Yeah.
that's actually what I'm dealing with now. So it's funny that you asked that question. Yeah, I really feel like
yeah,
I was
wow.
wrongfully terminated. But when it comes to like, I guess, employee handbooks and their policies, and if you are violating the policy, if it's higher one of it, then, you know, but I still think it's wrong because of the fact that it's about undergarments, and like, how do you know, you don't know, it's all like speculation. Like, you don't know if I'm wearing an undergarment or not. Like, I could very well be, you know, so.
Wow,
But yeah,
thank you, Daisha, for that. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry
yeah.
about
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Madison, can I ask?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
fine. You were the next person I was gonna ask, but okay, yeah. Ask the question.
Marissa, I wanted to ask Daisha, okay, your first year came up because you were going to be there for a year. Were they going to have to give you special benefits or something?
Oh
Because
no,
you
I
were
had
there
already
for a
gotten
year?
that. Yeah, no, I already gotten that. It was a
Oh,
little over a year, 1 week over the year mark, over the year
okay.
anniversary. I started in February, the last day of February. They fired me March 7th was my last day. So it was right up a year and a week. But no, I already got my benefits and everything. So yeah, I don't know what that was about. It was just really strange. But yeah.
Okay.
I
Maleah, have you ever been wrongfully terminated from a job or know someone that was wrongfully terminated from a job?
Yes, I believe I was. This is a few years ago. I had been hired. It was a seasonal job. I had been hired to merchandise a merchandise. I was pretty much hired as a merchandiser for a plant company. So my job was to water the plant, to refill the plants, to basically restock the plants, water them, so on and so forth. Mind you, I had never worked with plants. I've never been a professional gardener. I was given 1 day of training, and I thought I was doing okay. Every day, a supervisor would swing by and just check everything at the end of my shift, and then he would say I was okay. He said everything was fine. Then I would be good to go. One day I show up, I go to work, I start working. I think so how did it work? Yeah, at the end of my shift, I think the way it was at the end of my shift, my supervisor, he walks up to me and he looked super worried and concerned. He's like, hey, so he asked me like, hey, so what's going on with the plants inside? And I said, what do you mean? He said, he said, yeah, there's some plants dying. He said that there are some plants dying or something. I said, okay. I said, I actually was going to get to that. I said, I'm just finishing up something. And so then he asked, because the job I had, the merchandising job that I had, it was actually at a Home Depot. So the company I worked for was a separate company, but they happened to have their products at Home Depot. So basically, right in front of me, he asked a Home Depot employee if she had been like what was going on with the plants, and then she pointed at me like, she said, well, I thought she was the one who was supposed to be doing it. So the person he asked, she actually used to go around watering the plants and everything. So it was really weird, but all I remember is I got a phone call like that evening, and I don't know if anyone's ever experienced this, but you can leave a voice note without actually calling someone. You can leave a voicemail without having their phone ring. So he did it in that wimpy way. He said, okay, well, unfortunately, you won't be able to work with us anymore. It was just a quick thing. And then when I tried to call him back, of course, it went right to voicemail. And I think that's the only time I've been fired, but I didn't think it was fair because number one, I was a new employee. If there was a problem, I mean, the supervisor used to stop by every day at the end of the shift because he used to bounce around at different stores. So if there was a problem, like why wouldn't he be able to detect that there's a problem if he goes by the store every day or checks on me at the end of every shift that I work? So I didn't think it was fair. My humble opinion, I believe that they wanted to maybe hire someone. Maybe I think he probably wanted to hire a friend or something. That's just the assumption I made because I don't know why you would fire a new employee who literally just started. Like, I think I was only there for like a week or something. So it was really weird, but I just think they either probably wanted to just get someone they knew in. But yeah, that's the experience I've had where I believe I was fired unfairly. It might have been legal, but it definitely was unfair in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Maleah, for that. Sorry about that experience. And final person I'm going to ask is Yosef. Have you ever been wrongfully terminated from a job, or do you know someone that was wrongfully terminated from a job?
Yeah, I know, or over the years, multiple people that I've known have had that experience. I wasn't there, but it seems like that was the case. I wish I could say I was wrongfully terminated. Like, I don't know if it's a song lyric or a quote or something, but everything I've been accused of, I'm guilty of. No, I'm kidding. It's determinations I've had have never, or not all of them, some of them have been completely fair, but so, if I could do it all over again or whatever, I'd want it to go down differently. So.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for calling in and tuning in, and subscribe to our channel for more great conversations. You